Tonight in International Affairs, a significant diplomatic visit has just concluded in Tehran. Burkina Faso's defense minister, Célestin Simporé, has returned home following high-level talks with Iranian officials. The discussions focused on bolstering cooperation across defense, technology, and economic sectors, part of a broader realignment that is reshaping security and resource geopolitics in the Sahel region and beyond. In Tehran, the Burkina Faso delegation was received by Masoud Pezeshkian, underscoring the importance Iran places on ties with African partners. The two sides reiterated their commitment to expanding cooperation on defense, economic development, and technology transfer. Iran's president described relations with Burkina Faso as a part of Tehran's strategic outreach to the African continent, emphasizing long-term partnership and mutual respect for sovereignty. The Burkinabe defense minister, in turn, praised Iran's resilience in the face of sustained international pressure and sanctions, calling Iranian defense and technological achievements a symbol of strategic self-reliance. While official communiqué did not explicitly state a gold for weapons exchange, multiple international analysts have noted that Iran's engagement in West Africa has often involved resource-linked security cooperation. Where defense supplies and training are tied to access to critical minerals or funds, particularly in states with limited access to Western markets due to sanctions. To understand the full significance of these talks, we must look at the broader patterns of cooperation emerging between Iran and Sahelian states, especially Burkina Faso and its neighbors, where natural resources like gold and uranium are abundant. Analysts tracking Iran's Africa strategy say Tehran seeks to link military cooperation with economic gain, in part to circumvent Western sanctions and diversify its access to hard currency assets. In Burkina Faso and neighboring Mali, gold ranks among the most valuable exports. In Niger, uranium reserves are among the largest in the world, a resource that is particularly sensitive given Iran's nuclear interests. According to expert commentary, Iran has previously negotiated with Niger for access to uranium concentrate in exchange for military equipment, including drones and missiles. In this context, the Sahel is more than a security theater. It is part of a resource-linked network of deals involving strategic minerals, defense technology, and political alignment. Although not described as a formal gold for weapons agreement in official statements from either government, source reports suggest that Iran has been pursuing relationships in the Sahel, where security support is connected to resource access. Including gold flows and uranium supplies that could support Tehran's broader economic and possibly nuclear ambitions. Why is Iran investing so much diplomatic energy in the Sahel? The answer lies in several intersecting geopolitical dynamics. Weakening Western influence. With the departure of French and U.S. military presence from parts of the region in recent years, countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have sought new partners to address internal security threats and foreign policy goals. Strategic diversification. Sahelian military governments have explicitly diversified their partnerships, moving away from former colonial ties and seeking alternatives that they frame as more respectful of sovereignty. Competing interests. Iran is one of several external actors, alongside Russia, China, and Turkey, seeking influence in the region, combining defense cooperation with economic and resource access. In practical terms, Iran's engagement has included military exports such as drones and training, economic cooperation frameworks, and diplomatic coordination on international platforms. These efforts serve both Tehran's foreign policy objectives and Sahelian governments' needs for external support amid persistent security challenges. The Burkina Faso visit is not an isolated event. It reflects a broader Iranian push into the Sahel at a time when Western influence is in relative decline. For Tehran, these relations can bring new economic channels to mitigate sanctions, access to strategic raw materials including gold and uranium, and political allies that articulate a shared anti-Western narrative on global platforms. For Sahelian states, partnering with Iran offers alternatives to traditional Western military support and the potential for immediate security assistance. However, analysts caution that such alignments may complicate relations with Western capitals and could tie vulnerable economies to transactional and opaque defense deals. Recently, reports indicated that Iran was negotiating to purchase approximately 300 tons, about 255 tons of pure uranium, of uranium oxide, or yellow cake, from Niger. This deal, valued around $56 million, is believed to be a one-time purchase aimed at supplementing Iran's Institute for Science and International Security. The 300 tons of yellow cake could, if fully processed, provide enough material for roughly 30 nuclear weapons or fuel for one large reactor for over a year. The deal involves a $56 million agreement with Niger's leader, potentially involving exchange for drones and surface-to-air missiles. To understand the gravity of this deal, we first need to grasp why uranium is so important. Uranium is a critical element used primarily as fuel in nuclear reactors for energy production. However, it also has a darker side. It can be enriched to produce material for nuclear weapons. Countries with nuclear ambitions or energy needs closely guard their uranium supplies and enrichment technologies. This makes any uranium trade deal a matter of international scrutiny, especially when it involves countries like Iran, which has a contentious nuclear program history. Iran's nuclear program has been under the global microscope for decades. While Iran insists its program is for peaceful energy purposes, many countries, particularly Western powers, suspect it aims to develop nuclear weapons capabilities. International agreements like the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, signed in 2015, sought to limit Iran's uranium enrichment and nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. However, the deal's future has been uncertain due to political shifts and compliance concerns. Niger is one of the world's top uranium producers, with vast reserves and several active mines. Its uranium exports are vital to the global nuclear fuel market, supplying countries with nuclear energy programs. Historically, Niger's uranium exports have been carefully regulated and often tied to Western companies and governments. However, recent geopolitical shifts have opened the door for new partnerships, including with Iran. This deal marks a notable shift, as Iran has faced restrictions on uranium imports due to sanctions and international oversight. Securing uranium directly from Niger could bolster Iran's nuclear fuel supply chain, potentially reducing its dependence on other sources and circumventing some sanctions. For Iran, the deal offers a strategic advantage: access to raw uranium to support its nuclear program, whether for energy or other purposes. It also signals Iran's intent to strengthen ties with African nations, diversifying its international partnerships amid Western isolation. For Niger, the deal could mean economic benefits from uranium sales and a chance to assert greater independence in its foreign policy. However, it also risks alienating traditional Western partners and attracting scrutiny over nuclear proliferation concerns. The international community has reacted with caution and concern. Western governments, particularly the United States and European Union, have expressed worries that this uranium supply could accelerate Iran's nuclear capabilities beyond peaceful uses. As of early 2026, Iran is actively expanding its defense partnerships with the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, comprising Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, providing military equipment to support their counterinsurgency efforts, specifically aimed at filling the void left by departing Western forces. The weapons and military technology Iran is willing to supply or has already supplied include combat drones, UAVs. Iran has provided and is negotiating to supply advanced combat drones, specifically the Mohajer 6 and Ababil 3 models. These are designed for intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition against jihadist groups. Surface-to-air missiles, SAMs. Reports indicate that Iran has discussed supplying surface-to-air missiles to AES countries, particularly in deals involving Niger. Military training and technicians. Beyond hardware, Iran is providing training for local forces and has sent technical staff to support drone operations and aircraft maintenance in the region. These supplies help the Sahelian military governments diversify their alliances amid rising security threats and broken ties with traditional Western partners. Iran's engagement in the Sahel is part of a broader strategy to challenge Western influence and build new alliances, often in direct competition with or complementary to Russian and Turkish security assistance in the same countries.